I have 2 days until I am restarting my querying process. So I was querying one thriller novel for about a little bit under a year, and I'm now kind of like saying that that one's in the past and I'm moving on to another project that I did query a little bit in the past. I sent 18 queries for it. I got one full request from that, and I want to get to 100 queries for it, and I want to give it its fair shot. So in 2 days, there's this online pitching event, and it's going to be on Bluesky. I've done a pitching event like this before in April, so about like 3 months ago. It's called questpit, where you post up to 4 posts using graphics as well as like some pitching materials. And then if agents are interested, they'll like your stuff, which means send a query or whatever else they say to do on their bio. And then from there, hopefully get a full request. So in April, I did 2 different pitching events. I did Poster Pit, which I got 1 like from, and that actually turned into a full request that then turned into a rejection on a full, which is a little bit of a bummer. And then in the Quest Pit that I did in April, so I did like the spring one, now I'm hoping to do the summer one, I got no likes. So chances are I'm also going to get no likes on this one. But I think it's also just a good idea for me to start thinking about like what are the best ways to pitch this novel, like what are like my ins, what are like the hooks that I can use, and then also just like testing that material out, seeing if it gets any traction whatsoever. But my hopes are definitely low in this case. As I mentioned, I do have 4 posts that I can put up, so 4 different graphical things. I have been working on it slowly the last couple of weeks, but I only have 3 right now, and I also need to prep them for what they're going to look like when I put them up. So the first thing I prepared was an agent's guide. So this is like a really common thing for, like Twitter, Bluesky, all those kind of things, where you basically put up this like 4-panel thing of like, here is my project. You can put different things in the different panels. One's usually like your title page. So I have the title page one. I have a one with a blurb, which is like a shorter version of what I have in my query letter that I'm going to be using when I cold email agents. And then I've also got a little bit like of an aesthetic mood board type page, as well as, what was the last one I did? Oh my God, I actually don't remember. Last one was like a little bit of like a comps thing where like I'm describing 2 books that are similar to mine, and then as well I added in a movie to try and like hook an agent. The last time I did this in April for the last book, I ended up putting up the agent's guide before the event started, and then during Quest Pit I did like a repost of it as one of my posts. And I don't know that that was necessarily a good move. Like, I don't know how algorithms and stuff work. I think it's a much better idea to be posting it for the first time fresh at the start of this event. So the event runs 24 hours from midnight to midnight in 2 days' time. But because I'm on the West Coast and I think it's like based off of East Coast time, I can actually start Thursday night a little earlier. So I don't think that there's any rules of like spacing out your posts. And I think from what I've learned in the past, it's best to just post everything right away because you get the most time, the most traction where other people can interact with it. Because I think people can still like repost and like and do all that kind of stuff to each other's stuff. Like it's not just agents who are interacting with your post. And I was really finding last time, because I did try to like space it out and put stuff in later the second day because I was like, oh, maybe it'll like come to the top of feeds. I don't really think that was happening. And the one like I did get from Poster Pit, it happened like within the first 15 minutes, half an hour of the event starting. So I just don't think that there's any worth in holding back. Like I think I'm just gonna put them all up there, interact with other people's stuff, and just like kind of let it go. As for the other 2 graphics that I made to post, they are both mock covers, like book covers that I made, because I just think that they like draw the eye a lot better. I wanted to maybe be a little bit more like diverse in what I was posting, but I honestly think that book covers are just like a better hook. So I made 2 of them. They're very, very similar, but honestly, I'm just like, I'm running out of steam on like what I want to make for them because I put so many of my ideas in the agent's guide that I just don't even know if I can come up with a 4th thing. So I would rather have 2 really similar book covers than just have one that I'm posting and then lose out on posting another thing. So my goal today is to come up with a fourth graphic. But again, I just like really don't know what to do. Maybe I'll make another book cover. I think it's also hard to motivate myself because in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm not going to get any agent likes, like all this time and effort I might be putting into this. But at the same time, like, I don't want to miss out on any opportunity. I want to try, even if it amounts to nothing. I'd rather have attempted and not work than have not tried at all. So the goal for today will be to not only try and come up with a fourth graphic option to post, but as well to not schedule posts because you can't do that through Bluesky, but you can like prep in your drafts your posts so that way day of I can just like press post and not feel stressed out about coming up with whatever pitches. And even if nothing comes from this pitching event, it's honestly already helped me mentally move on because with the previous project, I just got another full rejection yesterday from an agent. So now I'm down to 2 agents that have my full and 1 agent with my partial. And that partial, I really should nudge them. It's like past the 3 months or whatever that they say that they should get back to you. So I should nudge them, but I'm like worried too because then I might just hasten the rejection. But the full rejection I got yesterday wasn't actually that bad. It does make me feel like it really came down to like not the right agent, like not the right fit, because they were saying a little bit about how like the beginning had pacing issues or maybe it was like a little slower paced, which I do agree there's a decent amount of setup, but at the same time they also complimented that I had ongoing tension throughout the whole book. So I had tension in the beginning, I guess, but not pacing. And they didn't have an editorial vision for it, which is why they said they passed, which makes me feel like I'm so borderline, like I am almost there. They also mentioned that I had really strong writing throughout. So it almost feels like at this point, I just need to write the right project and get in front of the right agent. And it's not maybe a matter of like my writing not being good enough or whatever, my plot's not being interesting enough. Like the pieces are there. I just have to wait for them to fall into place. And whether that is going to be this next project or whether it's going to be whatever other project down the line. Because another thing I've been thinking about and also came up in a comment on my last querying video was like this project that I'm now querying is a past project. So it's one I wrote before the last project that I queried. So this one I wrote back in 2021, 2022. So it is a little bit like of an older story. So maybe like it's not as strong as my most recent one, but at the same time, like I don't have the next project ready to query, so I'd rather be throwing this one out there and have something kind of going through agents' inboxes than just waiting and nothing really being actively done. But all that to say, knowing that I have moved on to this project, and not that I've like given up hope on my last thriller, but just that I'm like there is more, like I'm not putting all my eggs into the basket of the last thriller and like there's other projects, I'm moving on, it does make the sting of that full rejection hurt a little bit less. QuestPit has officially started. It is 9:23 Pacific time. So technically it started at 9, but I haven't been able to get my first post up, and I think I want to do the agent's guide first because I just finished Frisbee practice. So we are racing home. I don't know if we're going to be able to get home before like 9:45, 9:50. So almost like an hour late, so hopefully that doesn't have too much of an impact because I know I talked a big game about putting it up right away and I do think that would have been the ideal, but I just don't have Bluesky on my phone. It's on my desktop, all the drafts that I made. But I did finalize my fourth graphic and I ended up making it another like comps kind of image, and I really went for it because some of the comps that like inspired that story are not ones that I could include in a query letter because they were either movies or they're really old, and so I figured this is my opportunity to share those comps and reveal them. And I don't know if someone's gonna know all of the references I'm making. I mean, I think so. I think they're pretty popular shows, movies, TV, whatever, books. But yeah, so we're gonna get home and then I'm gonna put up the first post. Oh my god. Okay, it is I think just before 10 p.m. and I'm just waiting for my computer to boot up. I feel like everything has been slower because I'm like in a rush and like every second matters. Okay. New post. Drafts. And then I'm gonna go for my agent's guide. Agent guide. Post. Okay. I'm going to take out my contacts, shower, and then I'll come back and start looking at other people's stuff, and then also post the next things, because I want to post them all tonight, but I feel a little weird about posting them all back to back in this exact second. I am now showered, clean, contacts out. So I was thinking about in the shower, I do need to make sure that this agent's guide is pinned on my profile. So if anyone goes to my profile, they'll be able to see this first, because if I reshare people's stuff, I don't want this to get buried. So I need to do that. And then the plan is to, perfect, okay, just pinned it. The plan is to go through other people's stuff, start interacting, and then maybe in like 5-10 minutes, I'm going to post the second. I think I'm going to go for one of the covers. I really want to get all 4 up tonight, just because I think it's worth it. Like, it gets the traction. I like don't want these things to get lost, and I feel like they will be if I post them tomorrow, because like by that point, like all the stuff that's been interacted with more will like rise to the top. But I also can't stay up too late. It's already 10-12 p.m. and I need to eat some food and go to bed because I have an early morning tomorrow. I have to work, unfortunately. So yeah, let's just get into this. It is now almost 11 p.m. I'm just about to do my 4th and final post. We'll see if this strategy works. I really need to get to sleep so that way I can actually get 8 hours before tomorrow morning and getting up for work. But yeah, that hour passed by so fast. I was interacting with other people, leaving comments, having little conversations, and it just feels like such a whirlwind. Like, I feel like I just got like sucked in and I don't know, time warped or something. But yeah, final post. And then from what I can tell, I don't think I've gotten any agent likes so far. I'm also too tired to really look at it too hard, but fingers crossed tomorrow we get some interest. Okay, wait, hold on. So it is currently 5:45ish p.m. the next day. Just got back from work. Still sweaty because I biked home, and I opened up Bluesky to see if I gotten any likes from literary agents. Honestly, the whole ride home I was like, this is a bust, whatever. I'm sure you know what I'm coming to. I had an agent well, I don't know if they liked necessarily my post, but they literally commented and asked me to submit a query. Oh my god. Okay, so I have one like. That's so cool. And it's like an agency that I've submitted to for the other project, so I feel confident submitting it to this agent. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep looking through, I guess, and see if there's anything else. But wow, I am stoked. I have zero chill when it comes to anything querying related, and so I want to immediately submit my query letter to this agent. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm prepared for this. So my query I originally wrote for this book was back in fall of 2024. So it's been year and a half, whatever. I've learned a lot. Honestly, almost 2 years at this point. But then I rewrote it at the beginning of this year, at the beginning of 2026, because I sent out just like a couple more queries for it. And then that gave me to my total of 18. But in the last like couple of weeks, as I was preparing for this, like it really got me thinking about like how I'm pitching this project and what are the things I want to highlight. So I did like some tweaking. And then just because I felt like it and it seemed to have worked well for the other project that I did, the mountaineering thriller, I posted it on Pubtips on Reddit to get feedback. So I've gotten a little bit of feedback from there, mostly just like tweaking a sentence, maybe adding this detail, adding that detail, has led me to believe that it's kind of like good as is, which means I'm just about ready to like send out this query letter as well as the first pages, because I've actually gone through quite a bit of the book again. I've done like a reread, and I'm currently on page 80 of 387. So I'll probably keep reading this over the coming days until I finish it. I mean, I doubt she's going to come back with a full request like tonight or tomorrow for it. And even if she did, like, I'm not really changing much on this reread. I'm like tweaking little things here and there. Mostly, there's some parts where I had a tendency to like over explain or kind of repeat myself a little bit. So it's like just quick little things like that. But I figured I would read to you my query letter just so you get a good understanding of what this project is And so I'm going to be tweaking a few things in this, but it's basically going to stay the same. Dear Agent Name, Hidden Monsters is a 99,000 word adult survival thriller. I'm thinking about changing it to psychological thriller. Set aboard a privately owned submarine deep in the Pacific Ocean. It combines the claustrophobic survival stakes of Ruth Ware's One Perfect Couple with the psychological manipulation and deadly performance of Steph McGovern's Deadline. Lily has spent most of her 20s scraping by as a stage actor, desperate to prove that abandoning university for theater wasn't a mistake. So when an enigmatic billionaire offers her a dream acting job aboard his private submarine, she can't afford to say no. On board, Lily and the other actors recreate a live-action adventure as an elaborate birthday gift for the billionaire's grandson. The mission is based on a story the boy's late mother once wrote for him. The grandson plays the rogue hero, leading a hunt for a villain who collects rare animals. And Lily is cast as his love interest, where she is expected to admire his courage, validate his choices, and keep him believing he is the hero of the story. Then one of the staged confrontations turns violent, and Lily can't tell whether the death she witnesses is real or simply part of the performance. As paranoia spreads through the submarine and the grandson grows increasingly erratic, the only crew member willing to challenge him is forced into the submarine's last emergency pod. Suddenly, Lily is the only person left who can stop the mission from spiraling out of control. But escaping may be impossible. The grandson refuses to end the adventure, and Lily must continue playing her scripted role to keep his trust while quietly searching for a way off the submarine. The deeper she investigates the expedition, the more she suspects that the mission was never meant to be a harmless game. Okay, so I'm going to do the last tweaks on this based off the comments I got, and then I'm just going to send it off. And we have another 2.5 hours till the end of questpit, but I haven't gotten any other likes. I don't know if I'm going to, but you never know. questpit is now officially over. It is the following day, and I remain with just one agent like. So I've sent out the one query and the 10 pages that her query tracker form requested. And I still don't know if she's going to full request. Maybe it's a little bit more likely than a cold query to get a request, just because she has shown interest in the premise. So it's whether or not my pages and the query itself, the longer pitch, are of interest. But I'm not holding out for it necessarily. And I think that at this point, whether or not it comes back as a full request or rejection, it just given me like a really good indication of like someone is interested generally in this premise. So I think it's ready to go. I think I'm ready to send out these queries, especially getting such little feedback off of Pubtips is again maybe a sign that I've like reached the point of like there's not much to change. But I don't want to send them out quite yet. I do want to finish the read through of my manuscript one more time. So it might be like another week or two before I actually end up sending out the next batch, which is just like crazy to think that we're rolling right into the next one. And I will say it was kind of cool because the agent that did request, they are currently closed to querying. And so the link they gave me kind of skirts around that in Query Tracker. So I'm hoping she'll be able to come back to me pretty quickly with a response because there's not much else going on in her inbox. And at the same time, like this is one of the benefits of getting a like through a pitching event is because she would have been close to me if I had just wanted to pitch as I normally would, cold query as I normally would. As for whether or not I think my strategy was a good one, deciding to post all of my things in the first hour and really get it out there and whatever, I don't know that that is necessarily what caused the like because the like actually happened the morning of. So like the whole night passed. And then I think when she got on in the morning is when she liked. So I don't know when agents were looking at stuff. I don't know if having the traction and the engagement from other writers on bluesky was able to get my pitching materials to high enough in the algorithm, high enough in the feed or whatever that she was able to find it. I don't really know how many people are posting and whether that has an influence or she would have found it regardless of when I'd posted it and how much engagement it already had. I think this might be a strategy I'll use going forward if I do more pitch contests and I'm allowed to put all of my posts at once because that first one that I did in April, poster pit, you had to wait an hour in between. So I didn't really get the opportunity to do it with that one. But overall, I'm actually so pleased with my pitching materials. The fact that it did work on one agent. The fact that on Pubtips things are looking pretty good. I'm honestly kind of blown away by the fact that I got a like. I was so prepared to get absolutely nothing. I honestly, like in the days before, I was like, I guess I'm doing this. I don't know. I don't really want to make this fourth post, whatever. I don't want to create it, but I just really hate the idea of like missing out on an opportunity when something could happen, because it's like, it's that idea of like, you never know when you can get lucky, when things can happen. And the only thing you can do is like make sure those opportunities can present themselves, like put yourself out there so that those things can come to you. So the next actionable items will be to finish my reread of the manuscript and then start to send out more queries. Thank you if you made it to the end of this video. I'm getting so pumped for this next round of querying, and I will see you in the next vlog.